Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2026 Mazda CX-90. This is the Turbo S Premium Plus. It's finished off in a Deep Crystal Blue Mica with an MSRP at just over $57,000. Now this is powered by the high output 3.3 liter inline 6-cylinder turbo. It's paired to both the 48 volt mild hybrid system along with the 8-speed automatic and pumps out 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It's all-wheel drive, weighs in just shy of 5,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds with a top speed of 130 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 19.6 gallons. You'll expect to see 23 miles per gallon in the city and 28 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 122.8 inches. Its overall length is 201.6. It has a width of 77.6, a height of 68.3, and its ground clearance measures in at 8 inches. Now, as we move on to the exterior styling for the CX-90, you'll notice the chrome surround for the grille matches nicely with the chrome on the Mazda badge. Now, this is actually the sensor for the distance pacing. There's a forward camera underneath that, parking sensors as well, and lots of cutouts in the gloss black grille to provide cooling when needed. There's also active grille shutters hidden behind the grille too. Now, within that surround for the grille, there's the DRLs and turn signals with a separate housing for the headlights and high beams. You'll notice too, there's some more cutouts in the middle section of the bumper on both sides, and then at the bottom where there's more chrome to blend in nicely with that grille surround. And then a few lines coming down the hood, meeting the top of that grille very nicely. Now, this model also has a two-tone design for the wheels. You'll notice body-colored fender arches. There's also the inline 6 badge with more chrome for the lower side skirt, where Mazda is stamped on the back section there. Now, this also has power folding side mirrors with a camera and a turn signal, and then there's chrome for the upper window trim, matches the brushed accent for the roof racks, and then this has a full moonroof up top. Now, being a 3-row SUV, the proportions are really nice. This isn't a huge 3-row SUV, but has really nice lines and angles flowing its way to this back corner here, where there's a third brake light up top, along with the wiper blade in the lower section, LEDs for the lighting, backup camera, parking sensors, and this is equipped to tow up to 5,000 pounds. So the hitch is hidden at the moment. You do have to remove that cover if you need to use this to tow some smaller items. Now, this also has the hands-free option, so you can kick underneath, you can use the control under the Mazda badge, or the key fob, of course, to gain access to your cargo space. Now, as you can tell with the third row down, you have quite a lot of space to put in some items. You can lift up the floor, where you'll notice the spare tire is going to be hidden underneath that, and you have a small tray there where you can place some items if needed. There's also a bin on the left side. On the right side, you'll notice there's some outlets, so that way you can use those as needed. And with the third row, it is manual. Makes it super easy compared to being electronic, where you can easily flip them up, lock them into place. They do recline as well. And you can see you have plenty of space even with that third row up. So for its somewhat compact size, you have a lot of space and a functional third row, as you will see here. Now, working our way to the back seats, this has a very light interior, matching nicely with this exterior blue. Now, this also has the manual sunshades, some light wood trim. There's also storage in the lower section, and then this neat trim accent behind the armrest. Now, this Mazda also has captain's chairs for the second row. They recline, incline, and then the easiest way to get into the third row is to grab that latch, and you can slide that seat forwards. Now, you can have 3 people back here depending on their size. This is going to be mainly for kids, as you would expect. You have a good bit of space though, just depending on where the seat is. And then at 5'10", I'm just barely touching the headliner. The seat is much lower than my knees, so they are pretty high up. But you have cup holders, auxiliaries, and there's the area for that cover. So when you have the third row down, you can use that as needed. Pretty large windows too, just to provide a lot of light. So at my height, I might be able to ride around town if I really needed to, but they are functional to have kids in the back if you need that extra space. And then we can lock that seat into place and use the bar underneath to further slide it back. Now, as far as the captain's chairs go, you have a good bit of space, as you would expect. There's storage pockets, vents in the middle, along with auxiliaries. These are even heated and ventilated captain's chairs, and then there's all of your climate adjustments right in the middle with that digital screen. Now, within the center console, you have some hidden storage. There's also 2 cup holders, the armrest with the split opening, and it's a pretty deep compartment, so you can place some items in there as needed. And then at 5'10" here, I have a little bit more headspace, as you would expect. It's a nice, comfortable place to be. And you have the large windows and the sunroof and sunshade when you want to open that up. Now up front, this has lock and unlock, side mirror adjustments, window controls, more storage down below, and then the power operating front seats, which have the black stripe similar to the rear seats. It's a pretty low SUV as well, so it's easy to get into, where this has the leather wrapped steering wheel. And as we start this up, this has paddle shifters on both sides. On the right side, all the cruise control settings with your steering assist. On the left side, there's volume tuning, Bluetooth and voice commands, along with the info button. So if you push on info, this is how you can toggle through the gauge cluster with a little bit of information on that right side. So the rest of it is going to be fixed, and you can scroll through some of those as needed. Now the steering wheel is also automatic, so there's an adjustment on the side to move it up and down and telescope as needed. Now on the left is all the memory seating adjustments. There's the rear liftgate. You can mute some of the safety features, which is nice. There's parking sensors, traction control, and the engine start-stop feature. You get one air vent, even Bose for the audio. This gets a head-up display showing miles per hour and the speed limit sign. And then with the large infotainment system, this is not a touchscreen system. However, when you pair your phone for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you can use it as a touchscreen system as long as you are in park. So to control this, for the most part, there's all of the controls down below. You have some shortcuts as well to go through. And if I push on home, now we can get to this screen here. So we can look at information and scroll through some of those vitals. There's also entertainment, so you can get into your music, of course. You can scroll into communication for your phone. There's navigation to pull up the map in full screen there. And then you have various settings to get into. There's vehicle displays, so you can look at those. There's also sound for your audio, safety settings too. So you can monitor all of this here and just customize it the way that you would like. You have various vehicle settings too for your doors, interior, exterior lighting, even turn signals, things like that. And then your connectivity, and you have some personalization and system settings here to monitor. So fairly easy to go through. There's also volume tuning, even a favorites button, and then auto hold and the e-brake. Now when you use this center dial, you can also bump it up or down, and that's how you can start and initiate your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now there's air vents underneath that, and then this gets heated and ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel, there's temperature adjustments, and while it's not a dial, you can actually just hold on it and it will very quickly go through the temperatures. Fan speeds in the middle. You can also adjust the rear climates from up front, even shut that off too. There's wireless charging with an auxiliary. You have 2 cup holders, and then a few different driving modes. So there's sport, normal, and even an off-road mode to modulate your throttle response and the power for that all-wheel drive system. Now pull the release up front and shift that to the right, and that will bring up the camera, where you will have to use the dial down below to go through the different screen settings here. When I put the vehicle into drive, now we have the forward angle, and again, you can use the dial to rotate through those. There's also a downhill assist and a shortcut to the camera system, so you can push on that even when the vehicle is in park. There's the same split design for the armrest, however you have auxiliaries up front, and then plenty of storage in the glove box. Up top there's garage door buttons, dome lights, the controls for the sunroof and sunshade, and then this even has a sunglass holder too. And then here's a look at visibility. For being a 3-row SUV, the glass is pretty much right there over both shoulders, which is nice to see. And then when you do have it in sport mode, the gauge cluster will turn red. Setting off behind the wheel now for the Mazda CX-90. This is the second CX-90 that I've had this year. The first one was the plug-in hybrid. So if you want to see what that model is like, everything is essentially the same, just the engine and the drivetrain. The turbo now here has been really fun to drive. So as we get up and accelerate, it doesn't have a quick 0 to 60, but for this vehicle and its weight, that was not even half throttle, and we're up to speed. So I've been very impressed with the power that this turbo has for this type of vehicle. It definitely makes it a lot more fun to drive, in my opinion. And we can also put it into the paddle shifters with sport mode now. Now to activate these paddle shifters, there's no way to shift using the shifter down below. So you can just touch on one of the paddles, and now you will be in drive manual, and it will show you the gear that you are in. If you want to exit out and just go back to normal drive, you hold on this right paddle for a few seconds, and that will shut it off. So while we are in drive now from second gear, this is pedal to the floor. And again, it's got a good bit of power. I'll just hold on that right paddle for a few seconds and we can go back into drive. Now, I've been driving this for a few days. Like I said, I've been in the 90. I had a CX-90 a few weeks back too. These are very comfortable SUVs to drive. I like all of the materials. For its pricing, this is very well equipped with what you get. Now, there's several options that you can go with, of course, with the 90 in general, just depending on your budget and what you're looking to get. But in general, for the pricing, what you are getting, a lot of people like Mazdas and what they have to offer. Seats are super comfortable too. At 5'10" up front, I have 4.5 inches of headroom, and this is a height adjustable seat that is all the way down. So you could be over 6 feet tall and fit comfortably in here. I'm also super impressed with the third row as well. While I wouldn't really want to ride back there, I could around town if I needed to. So for this smaller 3-row SUV, it's very practical for more than just your front and second row passenger. So I like the fact that if you're not looking for a jumbo, what I'll call jumbo, full-size 3-row SUV, this is very adequate for its smaller-ish size. So if you're not looking to drive around something very large, this doesn't feel all that different from the CX-90, which is a 2-row version. It does not have the third row. This is very similar in the dimensions as the CX-90. So you're not really getting a bigger vehicle, but you still have a functional third row if you have more people, of course. So I like the packaging for this. It's very easy to park and maneuver. The turning radius is really good too. So it's not an intimidating 3-row SUV to drive. Now, while this does have a hitch on it, I don't think too many people are buying these to tow, but it has some of those utilities to it in putting smaller trailers, maybe a small boat, jet ski, small utility trailer you could use if you're not really towing that long or that often. And in sport mode second gear, here we go. And it definitely has a good bit of power. I like the throttle response that this has, especially in sport mode. You can also go to normal mode, of course, put it back into normal drive. It will change the gauge cluster there, and you won't have quite as much throttle response, but it will still get up and move as you would expect. So this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the CX-90. For being a 3-row SUV too, you don't sit very high up. So again, it's not a big 3-row. You sit just like every other SUV for the most part for this sizing in its class. So really nice seating position up front and a super comfortable daily driver. You could go on long road trips with this. You can pack it full of items. This is a vehicle that you can just rack up the miles on and be very comfortable. There's not a lot of road noise or wind noise. It's very nice to drive out on the highway and very easy to see too. So I think it's a really good option if you're not looking for a million different settings. You have a good bit you can go through within the screen. Lots of physical buttons that are all the important ones, which is nice. And then you just get used to using this dial down below to go through the information. You have voice commands too that you can use as needed. So simple, but it gives you everything to make this a great daily driver with the tech features that it has and just the simplicity overall. For a new vehicle in today's world, I think it's a really good combination of the two. But that is going to wrap it up for the 2026 Mazda CX-90 Turbo. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.